Greetings, ladies and gents. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying the new footage and information. That's right, Alpha is live, but I'm kind of guessing I didn't need to tell you that. Now, yesterday I did a video talking about the AoE capping issue and touching a little bit more on the Covenant ability. If you are sat there saying, Grim, I don't remember seeing anything like that at all yesterday. Panic not, my friend, I did not make it live. Word came down as I was rendering it on the Twitter grapevine that Ian was going to be sitting down with Sloot as the alpha went live and would be answering a range of questions, touching on the hot topics the community currently has. So I put my video to one side and instead sat and watched to see what Ian had to say. I, for one, was actually extremely pleased with what was said, mainly with the vision behind AoE capping, what their intention is, but also with the Covenant abilities being locked behind a specific Covenant. Not a free-for-all, and that's a surprise to me, as only the other day I was saying, why not make it just simply an art style change depending on your Covenant, and give the ability to everyone. Now, rather than me paraphrasing what was said, we're going to play the clip, so you can see Sloot ask the question, and then you can hear Ian answer it. Apologies for the sound quality, it's just the way it came through with Ian's mic. Such is life. But we're going to listen to this, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Covenant player power locking. A lot of people feel it's an issue to lock a pretty substantial amount of player power behind Covenant choice, and the associated difficulty with swapping to a different Covenant, because there's a, I would say, big enough part of the player base that wants to be able to go, hey, I'm going to Mythic Plus, we should take Kyrian. Hey, I'm going into Raid now, I want Night Fae. And it seems like the only counter appeal to that is kind of loyalty and lore. And sometimes the counter argument is also kind of, oh, that's just the 1% that wants to do that. But I think with the way kind of gaming is developed, a lot of people that are more casual in nature still look up to the higher end players, or they just Google, hey, what's best, because I want my character to still be the best, even if I'm maybe not the best player or whatever. So what kind of, how have you guys taken this feedback that is really controversial right now into potentially changing or standing your ground on this?
So yeah, this is a super hot topic, not just in the community, but on the team. It's probably the number one thing that we're discussing since some of our initial blogs went up, and that's going to continue for weeks to come. I think a couple of broad thoughts, and then I'll get into some specifics. I saw some initial discussion on Reddit and elsewhere that was asking or framing this as like, well, Covenants are this cosmetic feature. Why are you guys sticking power into a cosmetic feature? That made me take a step back and wonder if we've done a poor job of framing what the feature is at BlizzCon and elsewhere. I think Covenants we see as a gameplay mainstay. It's story-wise, dozens of quests, different paths, but also these abilities, soulbinds that you'll have 3 of per Covenant with their own traits and trees of traits that you'll unlock. Down the road, potentially Covenant-specific legendaries that can modify Covenant abilities, utility, different perks that you'll earn through your Sanctum, and more, including cosmetic things like cool mounts, armor, transmog, back attachments, etc. But that is the entire package. And so, first off, our hope is, I think we didn't do the greatest job of presenting the abilities side by side on the blog. Like, I can understand, you open the blog, you scroll down, you go to Warlock, and you're looking across the row. It looks like a talent row. You're like, okay, which one of these 4 things do I want? I can change my talents, why don't you let me change these? But you're actually choosing among a much larger package that we hope in the long run we have enough knobs and tools to balance and fine-tune, so that while yes, there may be one Covenant that is better for boss 3 in the raid if you're a rogue, the answer for boss 6 will be a different one. And the answer for one dungeon or one affix will be different from the other. But the other part of this is, how big are those differences? Right? Like, do you technically, money aside, for gold, you can race change if you want to. I don't know that I've ever, in MDI, people will min-max their races. I don't know that I've ever seen someone apply to and get declined for a pug because they were the wrong race for their given class, or that we've seen people change from one race to the other. Because while those differences exist, they're relatively smaller. Now, philosophy-wise, the thing that we're trying to defend here and trying to hold out for, frankly, is just meaningful choice. It's that core RPG sense of identity And we've heard feedback from players, and I think that which make good points over the years, who ask the question of like, is WoW even an RPG anymore? What about my character customization? What about my identity? What about my agency? Like every game you've ever played, probably in the genre, going back 20 years or more, has you make these choices about what do you want your character to excel at, and what are your weaknesses? What are the trade-offs? Are you going to play some single-player RPG and focus on all your stealth traits, and whether it's Skyrim, Fallout, whatever, or are you going to be the toe-to-toe brawler, or are you going to solve problems in different ways using ingenuity, and you're going to have strengths and weaknesses. The second that we say that only cosmetics can fall in that space, that anything that has a mechanical advantage to it needs to be something that can be changed instantly on the fly, we're saying that identity can no longer include those core RPG elements. And I understand that community has a real big part in this, and that people's fear is often driven by their firsthand experience, getting declined from pugs, getting turned down or benched by their raid leader or whatever else because of these choices or things that feel like they're out of their control. And the path forward for us right now is to try to navigate those rocks on either side and find a way to save what we see as like the beating heart of the RPG genre without giving players those terrible experiences. How nuanced can the Covenant choices be? How can the pros and cons play out such that it feels like more situational and not, okay, this is the right choice, this is the wrong choice. If we fail in that, yes, there is the ultimate fallback option of, all right, we just give up and you can swap them freely and don't worry about it. But then you're also going to be in a world where you are a Kyrian running around with these rad angel wings and a back attachment looking like, the embodiment of the Valkyr, using plague and blood and necrotic stuff because you're using Venthyr and Necrolord abilities. It's not what the system was designed around. We lose something when we do that. It's not something we want to give up, and I think it's not something that's what's best for the game in the long run. And so we're going to fight to find a solution, but the community, I would hope, is with us in this fight. The conversation I'd love to have in the coming weeks is what are the balances that we can strike? What is a path forward that's not just, hey, Blizzard, don't ever attach power to any kind of meaningful choice? Because there is something cool about those choices. And let's try to save it before we just throw it out.
A return to old school RPG thematics? What a crazy idea. Now, this is not without issue. It's many games where there is a big choice to be made is because it's a single-player game, as Ion says himself. But the point of that is, the next time you play, there is a different choice to be made. It gives the game a level of replayability, but this is an MMO, where we have one shot to make the right call. And if we fail, we are forever playing catch-up. That is the fear. If we have to change our covenant, we have to go through the grind all over again and catch up with our friends who are way ahead of us. So we have that fear. Then we have the inevitable community pressure, the perception of community pressure that if you don't pick the right covenant, you're a scrub lord. Others will look down upon you and laugh at your foolish choice, kicking you from pugs. And this is not, sadly, unfounded. As much as Blizzard may balance something, no matter if Blizzard, in some crazy alternative dimension, make every class feel good, every class capable of pulling equal weight in whatever content it chooses to do. If the community makes up its mind that if you are going to do a +8, then you must have 2 outlaw rogues and a demon hunter, there is nothing Blizzard can do to change that mindset. And I'm going to be entirely honest, I was unaware how much I had fallen into that mindset. And it actually saddens me a little bit. The idea that we all need to be free to pick whatever we want, to be all we can be with no sacrifice, with no risk, no reward. That was the world that that's where my mind was. And until I heard Ion actually talk about the covenants and about the abilities, about a return to a classic RPG risk-reward system, a return to choice, a return to role-playing. Now, I know it will not last. I already know that. And it may not even make it to live. As we're only in alpha right now. It's literally like 24 hours of alpha. But the idea of picking something because I like the look of it, because I'm going to have fun with it, because supposedly the numbers are all going to be balanced, that it's not about them, is a strange idea, and I didn't realise how much I actually missed that idea of just, this is cool, I want to play that, or I want to be part of that. I talk about story all the time. I talk about how much I love the aspect of the story, this world that we have around us, but the point is, we are meant to be the champion, a hero in this world, not just a turret that must be simmed constantly to keep doing X amount of damage against X amount of targets. We're meant to be part of this world. It's meant to be a game that we can be immersed in and enjoy. I love learning my class, don't get me wrong, working towards mastering it, becoming a better player. But there is no problem with letting the fantasy in once in a while. I just want to say this. I am not hating on people that maybe don't raid at max level and don't push super high keys, but still want their character to be all it can be. I have friends, really good friends, who play like that. They will sim, they will min-max their character to the nth degree because that is what they enjoy. And as we often say on this channel, each to their own. You do what you want to do, baby. You do what you want to do. Now, the numbers and the balance and that side of it, to keep those people happy, that's all in Blizzard's hands. If they mess that up, if they give one ability more time to shine in raids or M+ or whatever than another, if one does so much more damage than another that it just makes everything else not viable, then Blizzard have failed and this experiment needs to be over in a second. We can't have this dragging on patch after patch after patch. If they fail, they have to immediately admit to it and give these tools to everybody. But the level most of us play at, this isn't going to be game breaking. This isn't something like we need to just suddenly throw all our toys out the pram and storm off. Sure, it will be an issue for the very top guilds. And in that I'm talking about the 1% of the 1%. But it's always been a sacrifice to go to that level. Far beyond the norm. Look at how many islands they ran. They pushed their neck to 80, like just a matter of weeks after a patch came out. That is one of the major things that sets them apart from us, the normal people, is that they are prepared to do that for what they love. But for the rest of us, we can afford to see how this plays out. Not just watching top-end streams or reading their Twitters and instantly saying, AoE capping is bad, or Covenant ability should be open to all, because that's what they say. And I say this as someone who has a very permanent record of them saying the opposite. And I won't be taking that video down. I want it there to remind me that raising pitchforks and being all militant without knowing all the facts, without knowing what the vision is, and I have said that Blizzard need to talk to us more. And I would love to see more things with this chat by Ian and get all the other guys in to talk about their various aspects of WoW so we can learn more as a community and be more informed. So I say, Blizzard, go for it. Roll the dice. Let's see how this pans out. Let's bring some RPG back into this RPG. But for the community to meet you halfway, Blizz, you need to really nail this. The balance of these skills needs to be spot on. Else you would not just have failed again with an expansion feature like you did with Azerite, like you did with Garrisons, but more importantly, you may kill any hope that you will have that community still believes that you can deliver on something that you promised. And trust me, the community's faith in you right now is on life support. Now that's me done, ladies and gents. I'm going back to watch some more alpha footage because this is Shadowlands is getting me excited. What can I say? But we shall see. We shall see. I need to temper that down. But have a great one, everybody. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Have a good one.